Hi, everybody. I'm Drew Gurevich, CEO of the Velocity Network Foundation, and I have with me today Andrew Cunsolo, Senior Director, Product Management at Jobvite, a global leader in the talent acquisition software market. And we're here to talk about Jobvite, Velocity Network, and all things blockchain for HRs. So, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to talk to you about this.
Great. So, why don't you start with presenting yourself and how did you find yourself in the talent acquisition space?
Yeah, I mean, basically, when I founded my first company, we were looking at problems in HR to solve, and we started almost 20 years ago solving resume parsing or resume extraction. How to get a candidate and the fielded data out of a resume into an applicant tracking system in the early days. Over time, that evolved into being part of an applicant tracking system customer or company and solving that problem for other applicant tracking systems, and then in other areas of HR, including resume search and match. And then as the market evolved, we created this talent acquisition suite, software as a service, which had a lot of these capabilities. The whole time we're trying to solve some key problems in recruiting, which is, how do I quickly find and identify candidates? How do I, identify that those candidates have the skills and knowledge and experience that I'm looking for? How do I get those candidates through a hiring process and basically, onboard them and hire them? So that's what our whole suite has been focused on. And as you can see, it all is starting with a resume, and sometimes the data on that resume is either not accurate, is either missing, or maybe needs some verification. Certain industries, certain licenses, or things might require validation of that data. That validation is sometimes expensive, sometimes time-consuming, and often introduces significant delay in the hire and onboard process. And these problems have existed for years, but it's only, I think, recently that there are opportunities to potentially solve these problems, or to, again, reduce that time to hire, time to fill by streamlining it using technology.
Yeah. So before we move into that, could you describe Jobvite for our audience, the magnitude, the gravitas, the positioning in the market?
Yep, sure. So Jobvite is a large talent acquisition suite. We are focused on just the kind of the hire and onboard process. So we're not a full HCM. We have about 2,500 customers worldwide. We go from small, mid-sized businesses all the way up to some of the largest enterprises on the planet. And we focus on the front end of the funnel, which is how do you find, identify, generate talent, get those candidates to apply for jobs, work them through an efficient application process, hire somebody, and then onboard them into your organization. And that's kind of where our focus is. We've got lots of big name clients, Verizon, HCA Healthcare, to name a few, Royal Bank of Scotland, et cetera. So, we've been in this industry, founded by recruiters, for over 20 years.
Yeah. So you were mentioning the challenges around data verification and validating individuals' data as they apply for a job. And obviously, you were looking into multiple solutions around that along the years. So, what made Jobvite join other HCM and education titans and participate in the Velocity Network?
Yeah, there's a few things that made it interesting for us, and kind of we jumped in with both feet. I think the first one is the fact that this is an industry-led, not run by any specific titan or software company, that this is trying to solve the business problem as a collection of companies that are working towards this, that solution. That's the first part. The second part is,
before we move to the second part, why is that important?
Well,
why was
because
that important for you guys?
We as an organization are partnered with over 300 different software vendors in different parts of that, and we don't want to be beholden to any one. And I think when a single organization tries to solve a problem, it may end up kind of going, I don't want to say sideways, but it may not be for the benefit of the industry. It may be more for the benefit of that company. So that's the first key, I think.
We now have 2 decades of evidence to see how true this is, right? You just have to look at the legal actions against the big tech platforms to see that they started in one place and ended up in another place when it comes to their collaborative, open, beneficial approach to their third-party complements.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And related to that too, we've been involved in open data standards for many years. We've been a member of HR Open Standards for 18 years, I think. I've been involved in that organization as a board of directors, former president as well. So we strongly believe in open data standards as well. And this, to me, feels like an extension of that openness and collaboration, of trying to have an industry solution.
Okay, so that was number one. What was number two?
So number two is, the technology seems to be at the right time. So some of the challenges in the past of verification and validation had a lot of paper involved, had people phoning, organization getting faxes of documents, right? Some of the background screening challenges of the past, where now with more technology such as blockchain, with the data being accessible with linked data, there's more opportunities to have a technology solution to support, to solve that problem, to reduce the cost, to reduce the time, and again, the validation has always been required in a lot of cases. So this just brings that cost and time down significantly.
Yeah, and that's a good segue to the next question. If I'm a Jobvite user, what kind of benefits would I see? What kind of and make it simple for me, make it user experience right? What would I see as a recruiter from your participation in the Velocity Network?
Well, let's start actually with the candidate side. So I think the key here is making it easy for the candidate to apply has always been one of our focuses, right? Reduce the time to apply, reduce the drop off. If you now have the opportunity when you're applying for a job that has some sort of license requirement or certification or skill requirement, they can easily be prompted to say, hey, do you have this skill? If you do, can you please share it? Using the QR code or a deep link to your wallet to say, okay, I do have that license or that certification. I wish to share it as part of my job application, and being able to do that with a single click or a single I approve sharing. And then that data just flows. It's automatic. We inspect the credential, we get the data, we follow the retention policy that's been agreed to by the candidate, pre-populates the data in the application form and lets them quickly complete that application. So that's the first part, which I think is very important, because
I agree.
Introducing additional things that slow down the apply process and increases drop off is not what anybody wants. So making that simple. Now on the recruiter side, as a recruiter now, I can see that the candidate that's applied has the verified data that I'm looking for. So the verified certification or credential, and I can inspect that very easily and see that chain of trust within our system. So that's our goal. Make it easy for the candidate to share it and make it easy for the recruiter to use it. The other aspect, which also improves the recruiter experience, is that we could move the candidate through the hiring process faster or more automatically because they already have the verified data. In other words, instead of that verification step needing to be done manually, it's already done, and we can automatically move to now schedule an interview or another step. So I think that those are probably the two recruiter benefits, in that experience. But overall, it's reducing the time to hire and time to fill.
Yeah, yeah. So Guy Abramo, visionary CEO of HireRight, one of the world's largest providers of employment screening services, has written in his latest blog post, "You transformed the world." About this statement.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What do you think about this statement?
No, I didn't hear the statement.
Oh,
kind of sorry.
So I read a blog post from Guy Abramo, the visionary CEO of HireRight. And HireRight is one of the largest providers of employment screening services, as you all know. And he said in his blog, he's written in his blog, he thinks Velocity Network will completely transform the world of work. Do you think he's going too far, or do you
No,
think
I think he is on the money here, because I think there's also other things happening in the world of work, right? So what I described about a candidate applying for a job and verifying credentials, recruiters seeing that is still the traditional hiring process. There are other factors at play, the gig economy being one of them. So I think that concept of, I have credentials, things that I've learned, things that I've earned from education or training, that makes me who I am. And those credentials could be directly attributable to specific gig requests. Hey, I need somebody to drive a car for Uber, or I need somebody to make my logos for a company. And I could have digitally verifiable credentials that prove that I can do that. And those transactions can happen in seconds. And then I could be available to take that gig. Right. So it's even different than, we're talking about reducing time to hire for filling full-time roles. I mean, we're talking about days and weeks. Yeah. With a gig economy, we could be talking about hours. So I think he's on to something, really, that this is transformational in the HR recruiting space, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we've been talking for so long about the elastic enterprise, where you have your core teams and then you pull in contingent resources as needed. But when you have to wait for a week or 5 weeks until their credentials checks out, especially pressure and other elements, not having a digital career identity, which is that is verifiable, is just a showstopper for all this.
Yep.
And we've also talked about the talent arbitrage that's right, that can do the same work as a Silicon Valley programmer, but I don't know, a third of the price. Only that they're not, that you cannot locate, you cannot verify their identity, you cannot verify their credentials, you cannot verify their experience, right? And these have all been the showstoppers for a real streamlined, global, on time, just in time talent market, right? So that whole career identity layer, verifiable career identity layer, was that missing layer that was burdening so much of the things that were developed and discussed in the last few years. So I totally agree.
I think I was going to say the other aspect of this digitally verifiable. I mean, so far we've mostly focused on credentials, certifications, et cetera. But I think longer term, especially with contingent and gig, is just simply verifying work that you've done, and having that be asserted in, digitally verifiable, asserted into your wallet, that you can use. It could be used simply as a reference to say, here's a verifiable work that I've done at this company that has the same skills and competencies that I'm looking for. So, I think as this matures, as we get more people on the Velocity network, more people making assertions, and that candidates take control and take those assertions as verifiable credentials. I think that it's going to open up more possibilities of, what verifiable data can be used for in the world of work.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's even avid with with the existing workforce solution providers like Randstad, Kelly, Manpower. So if I spend 2 years with Randstad running on, I don't know, 5 different engagements, right, or contracts, right? A verifier, a traditional verifier, a background screening services company will only completely completely hidden from the job market because you know it's only Randstad that knows what the contingent employee was involved in. Now Randstad will be able to issue those micro credentials or credentials on past employment engagement to that individual, and that individual will be empowered to find better career opportunities through that process.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, trust me. So two people that are completely convince each other. That's cute. Um, so if you had one message, right, to employers, education vendors, what would be that message?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to get down to one message, but I think one of the key ones that comes through is empower the individual. So in other words, give the individual, the person, access to their own data, allow them to control their own data, and then use that as to basically further the individual's career, furthers the individual's life and lifetime goals. There, that one thing of that empowerment, it actually opens up a whole bunch of things. There's business benefits, there's societal benefits. Like, we're not just talking about one company wanting to hire somebody. Like, it really is a broader wave or impact on society, that is probably very difficult to predict this early on, but it could be transformational, right? So that would be my message: is empower your employees, your individuals, and give them access to their data and give them control of their data.
So true. So true. Well, this is it for us on this session. I want to thank you, Andrew, for joining us. It has been super interesting. Really enjoyed it, and we'll probably be talking very soon. So, for our audience, thank you, people, for listening in. For more content and talks with thought leaders like Andrew, please follow Velocity Network Foundation on social media. I was Dror Gurevich. Peace out.